people of the World Wide Web. So it's Cypher Sigma screen time here, and it's the weekend, and as you know, the weekend, it is always movie review time. So what have I been watching this week? It is The Wild Robot. So yes, this is the new animated movie from DreamWorks, so the studio that gave us Shrek, Madagascar, The Bad Boys, Puss in Boots, to name just a few. How to Train Your Dragon. So this film is 1 hour and 42 minutes long. It does have one end of credit scene. It is a very small scene, so if you wish to stay after the credits, there is something there. So anybody who has or hasn't seen or doesn't know what this movie is about, this is essentially a animated movie. In the fact, it takes the kind of focus around an android called Roz. She crash lands, or it ends up on this small island, and her job is basically to perform tasks, unfortunately being the only robot. Always ring to the trying to do one of these. So yeah, as I said, so you have a robot voiced by Laputa not Nyong'o. Apologies. She's a robot. She's stranded on this island with animals, and due to a set of events, she unfortunately comes across this one geese that is basically doesn't have a mother or that, and she ends up raising them, and this is the story of it, and that is essentially what this film is about. So we shall slap up the spoiler warnings there, and we shall get into the story in more depth. So as I said, with the movie starts off, you have Laputa Nyong'o's, apologies as Roz. She is a robot. She's a Rosm, something up. They all have numbers. She is crash landed on this island with a few other ones. You don't know the where, what's, or why, but all the animals interpret her as some weird kind of creature. She goes through trying to help, because that is her natural program, just to help the kind of people, the surroundings. She wants tasks and stuff to do. Unfortunately, she keeps running into disasters, and to the point she realizes that she cannot communicate with the animals. So then she goes into a hibernation mode where she kind of learns their language, and this is where then all the animals get human voices. Then she goes on kind of a task, comes across a bear, and unfortunately during the process of this bear chasing her, she falls down a hill, which involves her killing, as far as we can tell, a mummy bird, and all the babies are dead except one that's still in an egg. She takes the egg and tries to then decide to look after it. This is when you then meet the character Fink, played by Pedro Pascal, who's a fox who kind of tries to nick the egg at first, and she is just trying to save the egg, and then the egg hatches, and then it becomes basically a little baby duck who imprints on Roz, because that is his mum, or assumes it is mum. You have a few other characters that I'm trying to find. So there is a possum. She is voiced by Catherine O'Hare. She kind of comes across the robot and then explains that, look, this baby, you are its mum, you've killed its mum, you need to look after it. And then Fink, the fox, kind of comes along and helps them out. And then this story goes on that they kind of build a shelter on this island. They all get together. And Roz kind of has these three kind of tasks with the baby. She has to feed him, she has to make him swim, and then she has to make him fly so he can fly away for the winter and survive. So this is what kind of the third part of the story is, of just all these tasks, interacting. All the animals don't really like her. They see her as kind of an evil thing that's going to kill them. Except for, obviously, you have the possum and her babies, and obviously Frink the fox. And then as time goes on, and the baby, who she names Brightbill, who's voiced by Kit Connor, he then starts to meet other animals, and they all hate him. And then the truth comes out about that Roz killed his mum. He is a bit distant, but still manages to achieve these three goals with Roz's help, that he can fly. And then he flies away with Bill Nighy's character who comes in it, called Longneck. He takes him under his wing, and they all fly off, and then Roz is left on the island, and she can potentially go home, but she doesn't know if she wants to. Frank is then kind of decides to go back to his home as well, because he's a bit of an outcast, but has kind of built this connection up with Roz and with Brightbeak in it. Why? So then it then kind of splits on a tangent. Then you have Brightbill's journey. They fly over city. It looks like the Golden Gate Bridge is underwater. So this world essentially that we're in is the human world that we live in now, but a lot of it is underwater. So I assume it's many hundreds of thousand years in the future. They get to a complex where there are other Rosms and stuff like that, but they detect the geese as kind of an infection. And then a load of them come out, and during them trying to escape, Longneck is killed, but Brightbill steps up, takes over the reins, and he flies them all to safety, and then he brings them home again. When he brings them home, Roz, they left on bad terms, Brightbill and Roz. Roz is not too sure, but this is the time then that a kind of artificial intelligence that helps kind of govern the Rosms, which is called Vontra by Stephanie Hughes, if I pronounce the name, from Joyride, and a few other, and the Fall Guy she's in. She's the one that dog walker. She plays his AI, and she's basically trying to take the robots back to wipe their memory and redo them, which is tries to do, but Brightbill realizes that he still loves Roz, and Roz is his mum, and comes to save the day, and then he manages to recover Roz. They all kind of have, due to a fire and loads of other stuff, and there's loads of disaster, and they all have to rebuild, but Roz says she has to go back to kind of the human world because they will always be hunting her, and obviously she will then put the creatures at risk, which happens, and then at the very end you have kind of Brightbill going on another migration, comes across Roz, who has then looks like had a new body and all referred, but then they kind of have the connection, they still know who they are. So it's very, very nice ending. A few other great voice actors are in there. So we have Matt Berry as Paddler, who's this gopher who plays quite a prominent role in a minute. You have Vin Rames as Thunderhawk. So this whole film is based on a book. Thunderhawk, I think, is the only character that doesn't appear in the books. I've not read the books. You have Mark Hamill as Form, the bear. And yeah, that's kind of it. It comes from Chris Sanders, who has directed a few movies: The Call of the Wild, The Croods, How to Train Your Dragon, and Lilo Stitch. So he has quite an impressive backlog to his directing journey, and this is the next step in it. So what did I think? I must admit, I was all like, this movie is absolutely like amazing. I can't sing its praises. It is a very, a lot of stories now come from books. This is a great story. If I didn't know this was DreamWorks, this would be something that I'd imagine a classic Disney movie should be made of. It is great. The digital work, if anybody knows an art and new technology, and you design stuff and that, when you're ever well building, consistency is always the key. And this is a key thing that I've had with, I'm sure many movies, me and AJ have had a lot of discussions of this, of how I thought about the Spider-Verse and stuff like this, that a lot of movies use these new creative designs and styles, but then what they do is they bring in other effects to try and that are more easier to produce, that make it a bit more cheap. And me, from an artistic perspective, I can see these sort of things and I don't like them. As the whole thing, my basis in art one is consistency. When you are building a world, you build a world, everything looks and acts like it should do within that world. And then if you have dream sequences or something, that's when it goes a little different. And this film, to a T, is spot on for that. And I must admit, this is one of the nicest, if not the nicest, animation movie looking that I have seen in years. And I mean, there are some good ones. I mean, Transformers 1 was really, really good. I liked Turtles and stuff, but consistency wise, apart from one section of water, which I have a few questions about why they animated it like that, this looks really, really well. It has the kind of painted effect that aspects of the Spider-Verse do, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but it is consistent throughout. When somebody's moving and when it is all done as in a human kind of world and a more realistic side of things. There is no flashy lines or something like that. When they dream and when they talk about kind of storytelling, the characters are there, just art styles are the same, but just a bit plainer. which again works really well. It's consistent throughout all the story. The voice choices, Laputa Nyong'o, if I pronounce the name, all the voice actors are perfectly they add so much character and depth to these characters and are perfect, and you fall into the story. And the story is just of how so many outsiders can come together and, you know, caring about each other. You know, yes, this is a work of fiction, this wouldn't happen in real life, but it is done so well. You know, you fall in love with all the characters, even though if they kind of aren't the nicest of ones. There are some funny stories in this. There's quite some dark humour at the very beginning with a possum baby, and that, and then like you know, and Fink hates squirrels, and he keeps having a common denominator of keeping him with pine cones and stuff like this. But it all just works so well. And as I say, I'm going to rate this 8.7 out of 10. I think this is close to, if not the highest rating of the movie this year. I was not only pleasantly surprised, I was, as I said, I'm blown away that this is the sort of storytelling we should get in a lot more movies. You know, and the fact this comes from DreamWorks and not from Disney is a surprise. But the guy, obviously, Lilo and Stitch is a really good movie. How to Train Dragon is an amazing movie, and this is definitely up there. I say, what more can I say? Look, go watch it. If you like the trailer, you will be pleasantly surprised. You know, if this is not your cup of tea from the trailer, then don't go see it unless you're tempted to experience. But I say, absolutely amazingly love this. You know, a few little minor points here from me, but consistency wise and how it looks and how they're acted and stuff like that is amazing. You know, I cannot say, apart from a few minor things, and that's just my preference. But anyway, have you seen The Wild Robot? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time, and I'll see you in the next one.